So we told you how those sellouts are. And the sellouts took your stuff. They're parading around today in buildings with no sign, calling themselves Moorish Science Temple. They're parading around today in buildings where in order to talk to them, you have to talk through the goddamn mail slot. You have to talk through the mail slot. They don't have a goddamn intercom. But they're Moorish Science Temple. People are looking at them when they see them in fezzes or whatever and think they're a representative of Moorish Movement. They don't have a sign. They don't even have a sign. They have the audacity to call themselves Moorish Science Temple. Goddamn sellouts. So I know why Amazite gets mad at people. Because it's a shame that Moors have this in a place where people who are coming into this information have to. They have no choice in the matter but to bump into dirty Moors, which is crazy. That like, okay, if somebody says, I want to be Buddhist, and they go check the Buddhist stuff, is there going to be like Buddhist dirty Moors? You know what I mean? Because remember, after Noble Drew Ali, everybody splintered. And majority of people didn't ride with Mealy Eel because the word on the street was that he wasn't competent enough to have that position. Right? He wasn't competent enough to have that position. And people were mad that their boy didn't get the call to be the Supreme Grand Chief. They were mad that who they knew that was beside the Prophet fronting like they were down with him for the past how much ever years, you know, he should be the successor. Why is he not the successor? And we already talked about all the weak minds getting tried. And the weak minds tried to the point where they bought it. And we're living in the time where those weak minds that got tried and bought it, their descendants are here today thinking that the stuff that they got from their foremothers and forefathers who called themselves Moorish Americans was legit when they were from the line of the sellout. And keep in mind, as the numbers dwindled down in the Moorish Science Temple, it was really family name succession. That's what it came to in where we see it now. Because Moorish Science temples that are around today that say Noble Drew Ali, whatever like that, and then they say that there's a name tie. So like the Grand Chief goes back by name. Right? That was to quote unquote keep it in the family. That was to keep it in the family. Somebody come in and then they adopt that name of that temple in order to be, you know, tied to whatever. Like all those type of levels is where the scattering of this information went, like all those levels, right? And you see that there's people, all these people got the same name without a bay on it, because they're playing the tribe, and then they're gonna get recognized by some, you know what I mean, office of the U.S. corporation, and then that would be their in. When the line that you come from are the sellouts. How come the line that you come from is the sellouts? And you're getting recognized and acknowledged by, okay, right? Because always remember that the Moorish Science Temple of America is public record. So, just like Brother Amazite went to the law library where he's at and found stuff relative to Moors, Moorish Americans, in the law library. That's how it is with all the information. But instead of wasting your time trying to kill yourself, email Amaury L. Bay, Amaury L. Bay, and just order your Mukarrabin files. An answer to the 45th question by Richard Edwards L. Mukarrabin files. And get that inside stuff that Moorish Science Temple aren't going to tell you. Because you don't know the secret knock, and they're not talking to anybody who's talking through the mail slot. They'll come out who goes there and all that stuff, but they're not. They're dirty Moors. You're going to have to go as Negro black colored, and then they're going to have to test you at the door and see how stupid you are, and then let you in if you're stupid. But if you have knowledge of self, you're a Moorish scientist, don't waste your time, go visit any of these dirty Moors. Start telling people don't go to those spots if you've been to those spots and you realize that it's church and that it's fake stuff as far as where you're studying into Moorish science has led you. Because somebody studying Moorish science that knows Moorish science would go into a Moorish Science Temple, that's a fraud, and come out like, oh no, because that's not what I learned, what Moorish Science Temple is. You know, according to, you know, Canaanland Moors class that I watch, I see Kudro, they have a establishment, store or something like that. They got stuff on the wall, looks like they're selling stuff. They got pictures relative to Noble Juali. They're teaching people. I went to this temple over here, and they were sitting down and clapping and stuff like that, singing hymns, the Noble Juali instead of Jesus, and put stuff in buckets and stuff like that, and it seems a little off. And what I'm used to. So as soon as you realize that they're a fraud, make sure you email moorishdirectory.com so they can put those dirty Moors on the list of dirty Moors. So people know which Moors don't go to. Don't even waste your time. And we're talking from experience, because Moors, active Moors are unified. There's not any Moors in Canaanland that's saying that they went to a Moorish Science Temple and whatever. There's Moors all over the place that are coming to the realization that what they're saying about Moorish Science Temple and what Moorish Science Temple is two different things. Because, I read Noble Drew Ali stuff. Noble Drew Ali said study, study, study. So, okay, fine. If he's the prophet, I recognize him and I appreciate him. Okay, well, I'm going to study some stuff. And then when I go study, I find out that, Noble Drew Ali didn't just bring some religious stuff. He had like thousands of members. They had businesses and they had all this stuff. And then I look at Moorish Science Temple today and I'm like, well, what happened to all the stuff that everybody had? And, don't stop there and say, oh, well, maybe they lost it in the fire and stuff like that. No. Somebody stole your birthright. And they're still around today, parading around with your birthright in Moorish buttons and fezzes and all that stuff. But they're not telling people about their birthright. They have buildings with no sign on it. They're Moorish Science Temple though. Ride with them. Moorish Science Temple, Home Office. Meetings at Community Center, 3140 Indiana Avenue. Oh, so Moorish had a community center. Friday afternoon, 7 to 11. Sunday from 1:30 to 6:30 and 7:30 to 11 p.m. Interesting. Very interesting. So Moorish had a community center. On top of all the other stuff that we found out that they had, now we find out that they also had a community center. Because obviously Indiana Avenue must have been frequented by Moors, because this is not the same address as the home office address on Indiana Avenue. They thought people were stupid. The home office address on Indiana Avenue. Go ask any Moorish Science Temple, whatever, what the home office is. And I bet you it's not 3140 Indiana Avenue. Bet you. To the heads of all temples, Islam. These are critical moments, and all Muslims are required to follow instructions. During the life of our Prophet, he told us many things, but there was many things that he couldn't tell, but we would know after a while. Right? So if he couldn't tell it, because he transitioned, and remember, if he couldn't tell it, so somebody else isn't going to come tell it. Noble Drew Ali is supposed to tell it, but they took him out the way, so apparently this thing can't be told that he's supposed to be telling. Right? But if we would know it after a while, that means even though he didn't tell it, we got the message. Even though Noble Drew Ali didn't call the meeting, and then all the Moors who were 720 active Moors back then go to it, and Noble Drew Ali say, okay, here's the stuff. We still found out the stuff. Because Drew Ali's are doing stuff from the soul plane. Because Noble Drew Ali is really energy. It's not really some man, body. Energy, it's frequency, it's a vibration. In human form looks like Noble Drew Ali, but out of human form, that could be the water you just drank. It's Noble Drew Ali. That's one of the elements, or energy.